So this is box number 20. I know we've got a Rotel 220, Rotel 230 and Rotel 240 in a not too distant future in the same box. Box 20. And this is a nicely wrapped in a towel, realistic TRC1005. If I look at this gentleman's letter, he bought this a few weeks ago for a very low price. It works occasionally, but now it doesn't seem to transmit. When transmitting, the volume goes to half volume and no transmit. This gentleman called James in Staffordshire. So they do, now these are the age they are, they do suffer from dry joints. The first thing we're going to check is that the telescopic aerial is in one piece, because if it isn't, that doesn't look good, does it? You can't even see what doesn't look good. I've had these before, and you pull the aerial out and part of it's been super glued, and then you pull it out further, and so we've got a problem here. So that element is fully out. That element has a bend in it. And this element isn't going anywhere, and I've got to pull it out. Because the radio is unusable unless we can fully pull out the aerial. As you all know about SWR, if it's the wrong length, it will kill the transmitter. So I'll just see if I can do it with these pliers. I'm trying not to put any undue pressure. Yeah, it's come out. Wow. So that is the cause of the bother. You can't really be pulling out with pliers every time you want to use the radio, can you? Just see if we've got some WD-40 on this, which I don't think we have. Anyway, the end user will have to be aware of that. It may be possible to pull it in and out about 100 times and it loosen up because of that bend in it. So let's get the case off it. I hardly really need to check that it doesn't work, because I fully believe it doesn't work. I think when we get the thing working, we'll then run through the clipboard. I will make a start and get the serial number noted. My clipboard's actually in another room, so I'm going to have to move anyway shortly. I think it's the 13th today. 1005, and it is just the same chassis as the realistic 1001. That's the early one with the LED display, and quite frankly that's more reliable, because this LCD display is another dry joint prone thing. Now, he's got left batteries in it, which wasn't ideal, but this is a battery meter in receive. Then in transmit, it's a TX meter. So if I can find my aerial adapter, we've got one still intact. So I'll put picture in picture on. We'll start off on low power. And right now it is actually transmitting. Is it transmitting deviation? Wallow, it is. And in high power, the radio is also transmitting. I'm running it on batteries. I need to get my mains adapter lead for the power supply. So we can't run through these yet because it's not. If it's on batteries, it's not true. If it's receiving, I'll just put the signal generator on. 2779125. Remember, these are crystal filtered as standard. Back to these lossy connectors though, so you've got to take a lot of the readings we get with a pinch of salt. You know, a phono connector on these is, if it had been BNC, it would have been brilliant. So we're on frequency. I'll put a 100 microvolt signal on. So what I'm trying to get across is this isn't a signal meter, so I don't want anyone to think it is. So right now, oh, we're not on channel 20. So it's receiving. We can connect the cyanide meter up and we can get a reading. We can do that on batteries. It's probably somewhere around 1.5 microvolts. As I say, you've got these losses. So we'll go over to the cyanide meter. So that's not applicable. That is, and you pressed a little black bobble there, and that comes on. Come to the switches, come to those, come to that. Not applicable. Speakers working. So, sensitivity. When my test set stops doing its times tables. So for 10, turn that down, we've got we've got 5.4 microvolts. For 12, got 6.4 microvolts. And for 20, we have got 16.5 microvolts. Now, look what happens when I grab this and give it a ground plane. It changes. And these range boost side panels are connected to chassis. So let's just look at those again. Well, this time holding on to the chassis. I tell you what, we'll have these as 2.7 and that's 2.4. That one, 2.7, and for 20 it is 6.8. So straight away, just earthing the thing, and you get a massive improvement. So we'll look at the squelch. I've put the squelch to full on the radio. So at the moment, squelch tight is only 0.9 microvolts. But of course you've got to remember it's a handheld. And then let's look at what it is for most sensitive. 0.46. It's got the sensitivity, but it's not got much range. So by the time it's come through the post, it's actually working, but we know what's wrong with it. It's going to be full of dry joints. So we'll get it opened up, and I may not have to take the bottom off. We've got different fees, of course, for how much work's done. So if it's just the board, the through board ones, which I suspect it is, then there's a totally different fee to if we start. It's service level 2 if we do it from this side. It's service level 3 if we've got to start taking the shield plates off. Because that gets passed across to Mr. Chippy. So these were £139.99. I've not taken the screw out of the back, have I? (1983) to about 1986. 8 throwaway batteries, all 10 rechargeables. So, oh, he's got that. That's a dummy battery there, isn't it? So, yeah, it's probably right. What we're going to do, we'll pop one of those batteries out so that we've not got a circuit. Last thing I want to do is to have the batteries shorting out whilst we've got it in bits. I've not seen that before. Somebody's put an earth across all these. Never seen that in my life. So that's somebody's idea of a modification. And the snags of these, they've been soldered before, some of them, but I'll be taking this subboard out, which we'll do right away with the wrong screwdriver. You can hear Simon coming through on our repeater. Simon is a customer from Yorkshire. Hello, Simon. May as well take the VCO thing off because we're bound to have to make some adjustments in there. The fact that's been soldered tells me that it's possibly been iffy in what's the word? Of activity. Sometimes they can become inactive and need a bit of heat to coax them. So we have a potential dry joint there, but I'll go through that. They look like they've been done once, but you know, it's working now, and this is the frustrating thing. I can't be keeping radios on the bench for a week, can I? Right, we'll pause the set. Right, so now we've got a service manual in front of me. I'll go through these dry joints first, and then we'll start on the job proper, as they would say. So I'm going to put the camera back to that one for the inset when we get onto that. Yeah, it's definitely been dealt with for dry joints and properly. If I remember rightly, there's 9 that play up. But it's frustrating when it's come here and it's now working. That's 3. There's that one down there which often gets missed because it's under that display. How do I get a soldering iron down to it is the next question. I don't want to melt those wires. Oh my goodness, that socket's loose. Have a look. There's one down there. I don't want to melt that sleeving on the diode there. Then we've got another one right down there. So you've got one down by this, right by this crystal filter. That one looks fine there. Let's move those wires a bit further. I don't remember doing that one. I also don't remember doing that one. But I probably just lost the plot. Right, we'll power that back up. Mr. Chippy's been making some leads up, so we can do some field tests. So this is 2.1mm to a fag plug with a fuse in it. Now we don't have fag things on here on the bench, so it'll still have to go to the famous crocodile clips. And one of the things I wanted the manual for is to remind myself what voltage these radios are, because they're not 13.8. I think they're a bit more than 12. If it doesn't say, then it'll be 12.4. 12.5. So if you're running them off a car with the engine running, you need to drop the voltage slightly. 3 diodes in series are what we would do. So you're losing 1.5 volts. Right, switch power supply on. It's at 12.5. Power is up. And I don't seem to have got anything happening. Is it one of these fag plugs that only has one side connected? It is. I should have cottoned on because they've got LEDs on these. That's why I bought these plug, so you at least know when it's in. So we're lit up. It's hissing. Excellent. Always be careful with these little caps because they've usually gone brittle. 2 of these are missing anyway, but what's left, it's nice to try and keep them. Right. So it's channel 20 for the, I'm going to have to do the VCO because we just don't know what's happened to this radio in the past. We'll pop that display back out. We want test point 3. And those are too small to take the prods. Test point 3 is not in that diagram. I've just had another 2 realistic 1001s come in today. So we've got this, we've got 1001 already in, we've got 1002 in, now we've got 2 more 1001s come in. So you're going to be fed up of seeing these, I tell you. Test point 3 should be an actual test point in the VCO. It's there. So switch on channel 20. We know it's on channel 20. It will stay, at least it stays put on there. And we're on receive, and it's adjust L2 for 3 volts. Now I think that's L2, but I'm just going to check. Yeah. So it wasn't out, but may as well adjust it while we're set up to adjust it. There you go. Put the radio into transmit. It should also be 3 volts. It's 2.2, so it's a bit low. We're just a trimmer capacitor. No, 2.59 is the highest it's going to go. So now while we've got this lid off, we'll do the frequency. So I'll just put that up on the screen. Should be 27,79125. 77 a bit low. okay, and it's neither here nor there. Today we'll turn it to the right. It's bound to be wrong. You know what? It's the right way today. Totally random as to how these can affect. So some days you'll turn them to the right, and some days you'll turn it to the left on different sets. So if I get the clipboard back, which I've already, we haven't got the clipboard, have we? Right, we'll disconnect that. We're done with that. So, it was, I think it was 3.2 volts, wasn't it? Anyway, it's 3 volts now. Let's just look at the deviation. Wallow. Are we off to? Oh, I don't know what channel we're on, do I? Tell you what, we'll turn it off, put the screen plate back. And then put this back on its pins. And put the screws back in. You can get dry joints on here, but a lot of the potential ones have been addressed and it is working. You'll get it coming up with signal meter when it doesn't have a signal meter, but of course the display does. You know, it's a bought-in display, it's not custom for this radio, so well, what's it doing? And it's actually because there's a, if it comes up signal meter, it's actually one of the power rails has gone down. The set's reliable enough, and it's as reliable as 1001, but the display isn't. Right, we're on channel 20, so we should have our deviation meter. Wallow, wallow. It sounds a bit high. I'll do it with an external mic. Do that now. Here's one we prepared earlier. Now, one of the sets which has come in has got the factory accessory mic that you could buy as an option, and it'd be nice to compare that when we come round to that. Wallow. Got no audio again. Are we on the verge of tuning here? Wallow. I think wallow. Oh dear, it's a bit too high. I'm not showing you the right meter. Wallow. It's 5 kilohertz there. So we'll drop that down. I don't know why I'm doing this all out of order, but I am. I don't even know which. No, let's forget about that. I don't even know what power this set's doing at the moment. So now we've got it on the mains. Let's look at the power. So it's, remember, it's a 3.5 watt set. It's 2.5 watts on channel 20. So so when this says bat, that's telling you it's a battery meter. If the battery needs replacing, or the voltages there, it will say bat low. So don't think the fact it says bat means the battery's flat. 2.3. And on channel 1, 2.4. So it's well balanced. So it might just be a matter of, well, again, we'll work by the manual and not just... so it's L5 and T6 is the first thing to do. Then T7, T8, so L5, T6, T5. Where's L5? L5 is the first one they want you to adjust. Then T6 and 7, T8 and T9, T8 and T9, L8 and L9. You don't touch L12. It's done on a spectrum analyzer. Now, we may have to get our kit out to do this. Don't know whether any of these that fits. Oh, that one does. I'm trying to press the... Now we've got an external mic plugged in. Of course, that is disconnected. Now, what I'm going to have to do is answer the door. Here's some junk I bought off eBay. I think it's a knackered CB radio and a knackered power supply. I only bid when they're made and bid and look ropey. So what we're trying to do is get rid of some of this sealant so we don't break anything in trying to move the cores. Well, you appreciate these come from Japan. They could well get shaken around a bit. So long time since I've seen Japan now, isn't it? Right. See whether we can move that without breaking the tool. Yeah, that's fine. So that's brought it up to 2.7. So it's T6, 7, 8. Just make sure I'm remembering this right, yeah. That was spot on. That was spot on. Little tiny bit of movement there. That still doesn't want to move. That does want to move. Let's see if we get rid. Anyway, we've got another adjustment here. That's the preset there. And we're now at 4 watts. I don't want to be at 4 watts. Right, so I've had to put an Allen key into that in Mr. Chippy's room. Not to adjust it, but just to break the seal. So I've now set it with the plastic tool. We've got exactly 4 watts. I don't think we want 4 watts. I think we want 3.5. Yeah, it's 3.5. So we'll turn the preset back down, because at the moment it's drawing just over 1 amp to do 4 watts. If we take it to 3.5, which is there, it's now drawing 900 milliamps. So it makes such a difference to the battery for no real range difference. So that's good. That's exactly where we want it. So low power isn't adjustable on these, but it is 260 milliwatts. What did I say the transmit current was? 970. So that's now 3.5 watts. So I really wanted to be within 0.1 on the band edges. So let's have a look at channel 1. Is 3.5 and channel 40 is 3.5, which is very good. Now there's a bit of a delay, so watch when I key up. When I go to channel 1, it's a bit like the Midland in our car, it's a bit slow. And that, despite setting the VCO, is the VCO out. So when does it start perking up? Shouldn't have to do this, so I'm going to leave it on channel 1, switch it off, and take all these screws back out. So you set it as per the service manual. We had another set do this game recently. Oh, it's 2007 realistic, wasn't it? It's made by GRE, General Research Electronics. So it's this one. It's not the coil. It's the trimmer capacitor one. So let's see once again where it is. Switching the set back on, going around on channel 1. You would think that was in lock. So I'm going to move this very slightly to, let's say, 2. So I forgot to press transmit. So I'm assuming it wants to be a bit higher. No, it's still sluggish. Let's go lower then. That doesn't make sense. Or is it? What's that coil do? See, it didn't say to do anything with that in the service manual. That's transformer 5. Now it's part of the receiver. So, have we got this first one very slightly out of alignment? So, once again, we're going to introduce a metal screwdriver to it to see what happens. Sugar, I've just gone and adjusted the wrong one. Don't think it's that one. It's that one. It's the second one in. Right, we'll see. I'll have to put the display back unless I count. It's going to be somewhere near, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's see where I've got that VCO now. So I'm satisfied that's still right. I'm going to put the can back on. I'm going to put the display back. I won't put the screws in. I wasn't far out, it was 21. So I just want to check it on channel 40. Channel 1, channel 40. We've actually detuned channel 40. Channel 1. Channel 40. Channel 20, check it's just as active on 40. Channel 1. Channel 40. Channel 20. Let's pop that now up a fraction. It has changed the tuning. That's now spot on 3.5 again. Channel 1, channel 40. Yeah. So there's no sluggishness now. What a faff, you know, it's got to be right. So it's alright, the service manual saying you just do it on channel 20, but in reality, I just checked out of courtesy and find at channel 1 to 10 the VCO was slow. Man, it'll take about 1 second to go into transmit as it is. Right, we've put the screws in. I'm just going to check once again. Channel 1, channel 40, channel 1. Right, so now we can move forwards. Adjust variable resistor 1, they say for 1.5 kHz deviation, which is ridiculous. And VR1, there's only going to be a couple of presets, aren't there? Yeah, there's only 2. Power and deviations there. Let's get our little oscillator. Need to knock that down. See where that is. Wallow. Wallow. That's all right. I'll take the mic out. Check it on the internal one. Wallow. Yeah, it's about the same. So I want you to look at this, the meter, and once again they've got this AGC. So initially, for that fraction of a second, it over-deviates. Watch. Wallow. So it goes right the way up to 4 for half a second. Wallow. That's the way the AGC works. When we actually start talking, it's doing exactly where you expect it to go. Wah. Actually, it's a little bit high still. So we'll just we better do it on the voice only. Wallow. Wallow. 1 2 1 2 1 2 wallow. So funny AGC. So that's transmitter done. Now we'll move on to the receiver. So reset the signal generator, switch the oscilloscope on. So we're now on. The first thing we're going to do is the detector. I expect it's that one. We'll just see what it says. So I'm not doing the spectrum analyzer one. I've no reason to suspect it's been messed with, and we have a different scale of charges when I start using the spectrum analyzer. I've shown that before when we have had to do it. And when we do the scratchy corner test, if that was out, it would show up on that test because we'd get totally wrong range. So transformer 4 is the detector. And I expect it's that one I pointed out. It is, it's that one. It's a big signal, 100 microvolts. This needs plugging into our equipment. And we'll just make sure that's at peak. It was absolutely spot on as it was. Right, we'll drop the squelch. 4 dB on the cyanide meter, and it's T1, 2, 3 and 5. Now remember, I've messed with that by mistake. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. That was spot on. That's stuck. Just put a bigger signal on from that. That is a broken core, but it's in the right place. Okay, so what signal, what kind of sensitivity have we now got? Now again, you've still got this adapter tree in this, so you've got to really take this with a pinch of salt because it isn't true. But at least it compares, and I need to hold on to the set to get a reading. So we're now at 3 microvolts. .45 microvolts. I've just knocked the signal generator off frequency. Reset that. For 20, we've got 9 microvolts. Squelch. We'll do the sensitive one first. Set the threshold. Signal generator back on. 2.3 microvolt, 0.23 microvolts. That's really good. But I don't think it's got that much. It doesn't. They're not going to squelch out a big signal. Mind you, it's better than it was by a long way. It's now squelching at 4 microvolts. So by lining the thing up, it does actually work reasonably. We'll see what we can hear it down to. And again, we've still got this adapter tree on, haven't we? So I'll just change the tone. Turn the squelch down. About 0.3 of a microvolt. So the mic works, we've done that. Switches work, pots work, socket, tighten, switch off multimeter, which is nagging me to do so. Tighten securing nut. Press transmit. It was reading 5 before. 5 bars. 5 bars. Means absolutely nothing. But if we go to low power, you can see it is less bars. It's 2. So there you go. So that is done. But it didn't play up while it was here. Got a lot of trouble with the VCO on this. So you've just got to hope that it's fixed it, haven't you? It's, you know, your customer doesn't want to be sending it backwards and forwards. We don't actually charge for dry joints because it's so iffy. Right, we'll swap that for the aerial. Antron 99, 99 red balloons 99, whatever 99. One niner, Roger. Turn the signal generator off. I've just checked we haven't got a light on in a part area of the house that causes interference. I'll just go and check that. We've got this fluorescent light with an expensive Swiss electronic ballast in it, and it causes more interference than anything else in the house put together. No, that's absolutely fine. Because we're not having a signal meter, you can't see what's causing interference, can you? 19er, Roger. Still got a lot of foreign interference. Right, we'll leave it at that. Do an on-the-air test later on. Thanks for watching.